Greetings, Yankees fans. I hope your day is going splendidly. If you share a deep passion for the Yankees and haven't subscribed to the channel yet, consider doing so because we are aiming for a big milestone, 22,000 subscribers. Your support would truly mean the world. Now, let's dive right into what's been happening on the field, and it's safe to say that things have been a bit tough for the Yankees lately. In their recent game against Arizona, the Yankees suffered another tough loss, finishing with a score of 4-3. The game could have been a lot worse, though, as they almost faced a shutout. Fortunately, one player came through in a big way, hitting a 3-run homer that prevented them from being blanked. Still, despite that spark of hope, the Yankees couldn't build on it, and they ended up losing the game by that same 4-3 scoreline. It was a rough outing for one of the pitchers who started the game poorly, giving up 4 runs in the first couple of innings. However, credit where credit is due, because he managed to find his rhythm after those early struggles. Over the next 4 innings, he pitched without allowing any runs, and ultimately he finished the game with a solid 6 innings pitched. In addition to that, he allowed 4 walks and struck out 5 batters. While this performance might not scream ace material, it's important to remember that this was only his second start of the season. Given that, it's really impressive how he managed to bounce back and show some resolve after a rocky start. There's no need to panic here. It's still very early in the season. Another pitcher then came in for relief and delivered 3 scoreless innings. He did struggle with his command a bit, walking 3 batters and striking out just 1. But even so, he was crucial in keeping the bullpen fresh and helping to prevent further damage. On the offensive side of things, it was a rough day for the Yankees, to say the least. They struck out 15 times during the game, which is obviously a major issue. One player struck out 3 times. Another also went down on strikes 3 times, and yet another had the same frustrating result. There were also a couple of other players who struck out twice or once. The only player who didn't strike out was another individual who had a decent game at the plate, with 2 hits and 4 at-bats. It's clear that the Yankees struggled in this department, and there's a lot of focus on the players who went down on strikes. I've seen plenty of discussions online, with a lot of fans directing their criticism towards one player in particular who struck out 3 times. While it's understandable that fans get frustrated, it's important to keep in mind that this is a young rookie we're talking about. He's still learning, and these growing pains are part of the process. We've only had 5 games so far this season, so let's not rush to judgment. I have no doubt that this player has the potential to hit at least 20 home runs this year, and he's already shown flashes of that potential. He had a solid performance against a top-tier pitcher, not only hitting a home run, but also a single. Sure, he faced some challenges against another pitcher, but again, he's young, and we need to be patient with him. Patience is key, both for him and for the other player who has been performing well. They're both still in the early stages of their careers, and I believe the future is bright for them. Let's just be patient and allow them to grow into their roles. Speaking of Anthony Volpe, I've been a bit critical of his performance lately, but I feel it's important to explain why. The reason I've been so particular with him is because he was rated as the 6th best prospect in all of Major League Baseball. While other players may not have been ranked as highly, Volpe stood out as one of the best. In his first 2 years in the league, his offensive numbers were, frankly, underwhelming. I believe his average in the first year was .209, with 21 home runs and an OPS of .666, which doesn't really scream future superstar. In his second year, he managed to raise his average to .243, but honestly, does that really represent a major breakthrough? His OPS was .657, which, again, is disappointing for someone regarded as a top prospect. However, this season, things are looking different. Volpe already has 4 home runs in just 5 games, and while his batting average is still hovering around .200, it's not about that right now. What really stands out is that he has already accumulated 4 hits, including those 4 home runs. It took him almost 40 games to hit 3 home runs last season, so to see him hit 4 in just 5 games this year is really encouraging. It goes to show just how much power Anthony Volpe possesses. He has the potential to be a player with an OPS somewhere between .800 and .850, and he could very well become a Gold Glove caliber shortstop. That's the level of player we expect from him, considering the raw talent he's shown. That's why I've been tough on him, because I know what he's capable of. He has the potential to be a truly exceptional player. And let's not forget, Volpe has the ability to be one of the top shortstops in the game. I'm critical because I know he can be so much more than what we've seen so far. I genuinely believe he'll have a breakout season this year, but simply saying, oh, he's still developing, doesn't do justice to what he can truly become. This is a young player with the tools to be much more than what we've seen up until now. When you take a look at his stats, they paint an even more promising picture. He's had 3 straight seasons of hitting more than 20 home runs. Now, as he matures, both physically and mentally, I could see him reaching the 30 home run mark. He has that kind of potential. So, I think it's time we stop limiting his expectations. When we talk about criticisms of Volpe, they're completely understandable because I believe he can be a special player. However, let's also look at the big picture and acknowledge the fact that this young man has the talent to be one of the game's best. His ceiling is incredibly high, and I fully expect him to reach it. So, let's hold off on the unnecessary doubts and start focusing on the greatness he's capable of achieving. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's been generating a lot of buzz among Yankees fans. The way the team's management has been promoting a certain player, which has left many fans feeling frustrated. This player has been getting regular at-bats in place of another player, and the reasoning behind that decision is that he's being rewarded for a strong showing in spring training. But here's the catch. This decision seems to be applied mainly when the team faces a left-handed pitcher. Over the course of his career, this player has hit .277 against left-handed pitchers, which isn't terrible, but it's not exactly overwhelming either. Now, I'm not saying that this is the right decision, but I think it's important to understand the logic behind it. Many fans, maybe even some of you reading this, might be frustrated with this choice, and I get it. I'm not completely sold on it either. But this is the reasoning that's guiding the decision-making process. Personally, I'd love to see a different player get a fair shot. He's only had 2 opportunities at the plate this year, one of which resulted in a home run and another that ended in a ground out. I think he deserves more chances, especially considering his strong defensive skills. There's another player who's been impressing at third base this season as well, and it's only adding more fuel to this ongoing debate about player promotion and opportunities. Continuing on, there's an important question that many Yankees fans have been asking. Should the team consider extending the contracts of their younger players, especially those who are showing great promise? This is something that has been on my mind recently, and it's a topic that I believe is worth discussing. Over the past few weeks, we've seen a trend in Major League Baseball where teams have been extending contracts for some of their rising stars, locking them in for the long term before they hit their arbitration years. The Yankees have typically been a bit more hesitant when it comes to extending contracts to younger players, but the question remains, should they start taking a more aggressive approach with their young prospects? Just recently, a player who's appeared in only a handful of Major League games received an impressive 8-year contract extension. This extension allows the team to bypass the critical service time and arbitration years, which is a major move for such a young player with limited big league experience. This type of decision got me thinking, could the Yankees benefit from making similar moves with their own talented young players? Personally, I think it's something they should seriously consider, especially given the potential these players have shown so early in their careers. One player in particular stands out to me as a prime candidate for such an extension. He's a player who's already shown significant growth defensively, and he's widely regarded as one of the best framers in Major League Baseball. When it comes to hitting, we've seen glimpses of just how dangerous he can be when he's locked in. Last season, he posted an OPS of around .718 while hitting 13 home runs. That's a solid number for a young player, and it shows that when he gets into a groove, he's capable of putting up impressive offensive numbers. I firmly believe that if he continues to develop, he could very well hit 30 home runs in a season. This player has a lot of potential, both defensively and offensively, and I think it would be a smart move for the Yankees to lock him down with a long-term extension before he becomes a hot commodity on the free agent market. Of course, I'm not suggesting that the Yankees should extend every young player on their roster. That wouldn't make sense, and it's important to be strategic with these decisions. But there's a select group of players who have shown the type of upside that warrants consideration for a contract extension. For instance, another player who's been showing promise is a prospect who's really made a name for himself in spring training and the early part of the season. He's been hitting the ball with authority, and there's a sense that he could be a major contributor to the team's success in the future. His defensive skills are also solid, and while he's not quite at the level of the first player I mentioned, he's still someone who could have a big impact on the team moving forward. It's not just about locking down players who are already performing at a high level. It's also about securing the future of the team. The Yankees have a long history of being competitive, and they've typically been a team that's aggressive in the trade market. However, as we've seen with some of the top teams in the league, locking in your homegrown talent for the long term can pay off in a big way. Teams like the Atlanta Braves, for example, have been making waves with their ability to extend contracts to young players early, and it's paying dividends for them. The Yankees could learn from these examples and start to take a more proactive approach in keeping their rising stars on board for the long haul. At the end of the day, though, the decision lies with the front office, and it's not always an easy one to make. There are a lot of factors to consider when it comes to contract extensions, and the Yankees have to balance their financial commitments with the long-term health of the roster. It's important to be careful not to overextend yourself, but at the same time, the Yankees need to be mindful of the fact that some of their most promising players could be just a year or two away from breaking out in a big way. Securing those players now, before their value skyrockets, could save the team a lot of money and ensure that they have a strong, consistent core moving forward. Looking beyond the contract extensions, there's also the matter of the team's overall approach to player development. One of the things that has stood out to me over the past few seasons is the way the Yankees have integrated their younger players into the roster. While it's clear that there's a sense of urgency to compete at the highest level, it's also important to give these young guys the chance to develop and grow into their roles. The Yankees have had a tendency to rely on veterans in the past, but the current generation of young players is looking more and more like the future of the team. It's going to take time for them to hit their stride, but the pieces are there for a future of sustained success. There's no denying that this season is still in its early stages, and there's a lot of baseball to be played. The Yankees have some work to do, especially in terms of getting their offense back on track. But even with the early struggles, there's a lot of promise in the team's roster. Players like Anthony Volpe and others are showing that they have the potential to be major contributors, and as the season progresses, we're likely to see even more development from these young players. The Yankees have always been a team that's looked to the future, and with a little patience and strategic decision-making, they could be in a great position to contend for years to come. As for the current roster, I think the Yankees have a lot of work to do in terms of figuring out how to best utilize their players. There are some tough decisions to be made, especially when it comes to balancing the needs of the team with the development of young talent. But if they play their cards right and make the right moves, there's no reason they can't return to the top of the standings in the near future. There are a lot of pieces in place, and while it's not going to happen overnight, the potential for a bright future is certainly there. In conclusion, the Yankees are at a crossroads in terms of how they approach player development and contract extensions. It's clear that they have some incredible young talent, and they need to be proactive in ensuring that those players are locked in for the long term. Whether it's extending contract for rising stars or giving them the opportunity to prove themselves on the field, the team needs to make sure that their future is secure. With the right moves, the Yankees can continue to be a dominant force in Major League Baseball for many years to come. Let's just hope that the front office makes the right decisions in the coming months, and that we'll see a lot more success on the field as a result. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. The New York Yankees are reportedly engaged in discussions that could send shockwaves through Major League Baseball. According to sources close to the negotiations, the Yankees are considering trading veteran infielder DJ LeMahieu to acquire left-handed fireballer Garrett Crochet. The potential deal would mark a significant shift for both teams, as the Yankees aim to bolster their pitching staff while parting ways with a player who has been a key figure in their infield since 2019. LeMahieu, a two-time batting champion and three-time Gold Glove winner, has been a steady force for the Yankees, providing defensive versatility and a reliable bat. However, at 35 years old and with lingering injury concerns, the organization may see this as the perfect moment to move on. While LeMahieu's bat-to-ball skills remain elite, the Yankees appear to be prioritizing power arms and Crochet, who has flashed elite velocity and strikeout ability, fits the mold of what they're looking for. Crochet, 24, has been a tantalizing talent since making his MLB debut with the Chicago White Sox in 2020. His fastball, which consistently reaches triple digits, has made him one of the most electric young lefties in the game. However, after missing the 2022 season due to Tommy John surgery, he has yet to fully establish himself as a frontline pitcher. A move to the Yankees could accelerate his development, as their pitching infrastructure has a track record of maximizing talent. While this trade could address key needs for both teams, the Yankees securing a high-upside arm and the White Sox adding a proven veteran bat, there are significant risks involved. LeMahieu's contract still has multiple years left, meaning Chicago would be committing to a player in his mid-30s. Meanwhile, the Yankees would be betting on Crochet's health and ability to transition into a more prominent role, whether as a starter or a high-leverage reliever. For now, the talks remain speculative, but the Yankees' willingness to part with a cornerstone player signals their urgency to reshape the roster. If the deal comes to fruition, it could redefine the balance of power in the American League, ushering in a new era in the Bronx while giving Chicago a steady, veteran presence. The coming days could be pivotal as both teams weigh the potential impact of this intriguing trade. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.